increasing for the first time in 5 years by 0.8%. New national data shows women are earning on average 14.2% less than men per week.
G'day you good motherfuckers. It's the conversation that regardless of how much information or evidence you provide, it just won't go away.
Nikki, can you realistically ever see there being no pay gap?
Yeah, so before this COVID blip, we were looking like we could close the gap within about 26 years. I'd like to think that we can do it, but...
I'm pretty sure the horse is dead. Please stop fucking beating it. But if you do, or someone you know or respect or even like, thinks that the pay gap is real, that the wage gap exists, then this part of the video is for them. I'm gonna debunk the gender pay gap in 90 seconds. The gender pay gap. Like the Loch Ness Monster, it's a myth that just won't go away. In fact, the Loch Ness Monster is more likely to be a real thing than the gender pay gap. Why? Because it's illegal. It's illegal to discriminate against people based on their gender. Illegal, very illegal. But there is a gap. And this is what people cling to. There is a gap between the median earnings of men and women. Why? Here's why. Men on average push harder to get into management positions. They work in more dangerous jobs. They work longer hours on average, and they're more likely to go and study some shit boring degree that's gonna pay a lot more money than primary school teaching. There's several reasons, but if you need one more, babies. If you want to make as much money and continue your career as much as your husband is or your boyfriend is or some bloke is down the road, then don't have a baby. That would suck, right? Because kids are such a beautiful part of life. But that's the trade-off. But that's not even the argument. The argument is that the pay gap exists because women are women, they have vaginas, that is it. But that's not the case at all. I know you probably hate me because I'm peddling this shit, and maybe you completely disagree with me, but you are wrong. These are the facts. They don't care what you think. So why am I talking about the wage gap, the pay gap, whatever you want to call it? I've talked about it a lot before, and I got sent this story and it is fucking insane. They were talking about it on The Project. They were talking about it on the Channel 7 morning show. The idea that the pay gap also exists in kids with the amount of pocket money that they make. G'day, it's But's mum from the future. I've got a lockdown haircut. Yeah, get over it. I'll put this hat on so you don't freak out. Anyway, we lost 2 minutes of footage out of the middle of this video, and quite an important part. And then I just did the whole video, the whole 2 minutes again, and I realised I didn't press record on the fucking audio. So now old jovial Butterfield fucking disappeared, so I'm gonna take this opportunity to tell you fucking people at home, you know what, I'm gonna make sure this is recording first. There's a merch drop on the 13th of October, and I'll show you next week what's coming up. Not small change. Aussie kids earning $2 billion a year in pocket money. That's a fuck ton of cash. The Finest Parenting Report 2021 surveyed 1,033 parents of children under 12, and they found that 50% of children under 12 get paid pocket money. I'm sure we all got paid pocket money. If you didn't, your parents didn't love you. With the average sitting at $9.80, when this equates to $1.9 billion over a year between all the kids in the country. 1 in 4 kids receive between $5 and $10 a week, 8% 11 and 20, and a further 7% receive more than $30 a week from their parents. Those rich fucks. Imagine what you could have done as a child with 30 bucks a week. Imagine how many pikelets you could forget from the canteen. You'd be swinging pikelets around left, right, and fucking center. You'd be the king of the kids. Worryingly, the survey also found that a gender-based pay gap starts young. Data shows that boys receive more pocket money on average than girls. $10.30 for boys compared to $9.30 for girls. Now I looked for data on this, and the Finder people just went back to this press release that they put out. This was the only data. They didn't give us any data. So if there is a disparity between the amounts paid to young boys and young girls, we don't have the answer as to why. We can hypothesize, that means guess, for you idiots out there, but we don't really have an answer. At this point, we are basically trying to weigh up, is there a difference between young boys and young girls? Do parents treat them equally? There are a lot of people that argue that sexism comes into play at a very young age, and maybe it does, you know. Take this for an example. If you had an 11-year-old boy and an 11-year-old girl, are you just as likely to allow one of them to go to the shops as the other? It's a very interesting question. There is no doubt that parents treat children differently based on their gender, but how and why and how does that affect them growing up? That's a whole nother question. And now, seamlessly, back to the video, to the part that I didn't fuck up. So sexism may exist as children, but the idea that the gender pay gap starts with pocket money, ready for this? From Kids News. I'll disprove it right here. Oh, hang on. No, I can't. It's the reading level is orange. Never mind, that's far beyond me. The main thing I hate about all of this shit, and I fucking despise it, because I might be a person who has a daughter one day. I despise the idea that we are teaching young women that they need to look at young boys, older boys, or men in general as the enemy. That they'll never be able to achieve the things in life that their male counterparts can with ease because they are female. I think that is wrong, and I think it is a terrible glass ceiling that is set by the same people who live their entire lives trying to break those glass ceilings. This indoctrination starts young. Look at this ad from the ANZ Bank just from a few years ago.
Here's the wrong thing.
Right there, just like in the real world. A massive lie that has no evidence and a terrible lesson for young girls to learn. Even though it is true, somewhat. They don't give you the reasons why they make less. If you want to teach a young girl how to make as much as the young boys sitting next to them in maths class, tell them not to have a baby. Tell them not to choose a profession that doesn't pay less than the profession that he might be more likely to choose. Because at the end of the day, women are more likely to want to work with people and men want to work with things. This is built into our psyche. But if you want to earn more, then go against the grain. That's what we should be teaching them, not sitting here going, oh, it's always unfair, you'll never achieve anything, your life's fucked from the very beginning. You should and you can do whatever you want in this world regardless of what you have between your legs.
Why does he get $5?
That's just the way it is.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
A fucking awful lesson. A terrible lesson. That's not just the way it is. There is a group, a generation of young women growing up with hashtag BLM, their fucking pronouns in their bio, and they are growing up learning the fact that they will never achieve what they want to because they're women. Terrible lesson.
It should be flat out illegal. Like, I'm not joking. I'm not being unreasonable.
Not to scream at a child, but it is.
What we're trying to tell you is that it's not fair that boys get paid more than girls.
What? He didn't do anything. So let's take some guesses at why boys are being paid more on average than girls when it comes to pocket money. My first idea that boys are more likely, in between the ages of 0 to 12, to be the older sibling. On average, there would be more older boys because there are more boys born than females born. So that would go to show that if there are more older boys involved in this study, then the results would be skewed. Why? Because if they're older, they're more likely to be doing tougher jobs and therefore paid more pocket money. Or they would be more likely to say to mum, hey, I need more cash. Or to dad, hey, I need a little bit more cash. Or they might be a bit more cheeky about it. I know that sounds insane, but apparently it's true.
Time for my morning must read. This sends a shiver down my spine. Claire Barrett writes in the Financial Times a great piece that despite receiving significantly more, boys were also more likely to complain they were not receiving enough pocket money.
Could it be that these young lads are living up to the chromosomal expectation of males to request more money in the workforce? Also, maybe the dads hate their daughters and they're sexist pigs, but also the mothers are involved. So maybe we're all racist, sexist pigs. If we had more data, we could have a more educated guess at why this exists. Maybe there were more older boys involved in the study to younger girls. Maybe that's a pretty easy and simple answer to the whole problem. At the end of the day, I think genuinely that the idea of the gender pay gap, because it is so disprovable and there's so much evidence to the contrary, by pushing that, you make women look weak. Ladies, you can do anything in this world. Don't let anyone tell you what you can and can't do. That's crazy. Be a good motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East. Me dick stinks. Toodaloo. Bye-bye.